Hi, I'm your host, Deidre Sirianni, and you're listening to the Radically Aligned podcast. And this week, I'm really excited to dive into something that I've personally discovered about myself. And I know many other people are currently in this situation of dating someone's potential. Maybe you're in the transformation space. Maybe you think transformation is sexy. Maybe you are that person who is constantly seeing people's full potential, but there's a gap between where they are now and their full potential, and it's not showing up in the reality. So I'm excited to talk about this topic today because personally, it's something that I've struggled with in my past, and it's something I've really had to come to terms with. And so many of the people that I've supported find that they're dating someone's potential and as a result aren't living in their own. And we're going to talk about all of this today, how the relationships that you're in directly impact how you show up and are a reflection of what's going on in your inner world. So if you're attracting relationships where you are not fulfilled, you feel like you're settling, you feel like you're constantly trying to change someone or help them evolve, or you're their biggest cheerleader, but they're not showing up as what you truly want, you may be in delusionville, is what I like to call it. Delusionville. Delusionville is definitely in the dictionary. I mean, you can check it out. It's not, but it should be. I think we're going to have a dictionary just for some of these words. But delusionville is where we are really operating from a place of illusions that we want to believe are true, and they can really cause us to step away from ourselves, to betray ourselves, to play small, and to not receive what it is that we truly want. So the question that I have for you today, or the statement I should say that I have for you today, is if you're dating someone's potential, you're definitely not living in yours. I'm going to say that again. If you are dating someone's potential, guarantee you are not living in your full potential. And here's why. If you're dating someone's potential, you are most likely putting a lot of energy towards who they could be, what they should be, and you're probably overcompensating, overgiving, maybe acting like a coach in the relationship, or some sort of interesting role that isn't necessarily coming from a place of alignment and truth, but trying to fix or change something outside of you. When we do this in relationship, it's a high level way of stepping away from ourselves, sometimes with betraying ourselves, with self-sabotaging our own needs, our own wants, by pouring everything that we want to see in someone else towards them rather than bringing that back to ourselves. So if you are dating someone's potential, you are definitely not living in yours, because you're bringing a lot of your attention and energy to that person's potential rather than your own. So the next question that I have for you today, if you find yourself attracting relationships where you want them to be in a different location than they're at in some way, shape, or form, or you're hoping that one day they're going to step into being that person that you want them to be, is what are you avoiding within yourself when you are dating someone's potential? What is that project? What is that part within yourself that's really craving that love, that affection, that attention and intention that potentially you're putting on the back burner and avoiding by being in relationships that are projects? And don't get me wrong, I'm obviously in the transformational space, and I think transformation is sexy. Any kind of transformation is super sexy, and I love it, and I'm attracted to it. However, in relationship dynamics, it can be a very toxic cycle to be in within ourselves and others, where we're trying to create or fix something outside of ourselves rather than actually asking ourselves, what is it that I'm avoiding within myself that I need to focus on, that I really want to move forward? And I'm using this relationship as a way to bypass and sidestep really putting the energy forward. Many of the women and men that I've worked with, specifically women though, I've heard this story so many times. If he just did this one thing, then we could be happy. Or when this person finally, finds their purpose, then this will work, or whatever the story is. It's usually when this, then that, or if this, then that. So it's all about delusionville. And I say that like I'm teasing a little bit, but the truth is, whenever we are operating from a place of someone's potential, sometimes we miss out on what's actually happening in the here and now. This happened in one of my past relationships where I had this vision of that person's highest self and my highest self, like creating and doing all these things together. But the reality was that person wasn't showing up as that every single day. And I was like, not obsessed, but I was so excited about their potential, but they weren't as excited about it because they weren't drawn to it, because they weren't on purpose. And so there was a huge gap in reality for me because I saw their potential, which is great because I'm a coach and I help people in the space of personal and spiritual development and leadership. However, it really wasn't, it doesn't serve us in relationships. So if you're in the coaching space, if you're in the transformational space, or you just tend to date someone's potential, I really want to again, turn this around and ask you, where are you not living in your full potential? Where are you saying no to what it is that you truly want, and instead pouring that energy into someone else as a way to bypass really stepping forward and owning who you are and who you're meant to be in the world? Because our relationships are really massive mirrors for what's going on in our inner world. And usually things that are just below the surface, the things that you're like, oh, I'm great, I'm so happy with this thing. However, in relationships, how we show up or what we project or what we experience is often those things that are just beneath the surface are manifesting in real time to show us something, to teach us something. And this has taken me quite a long time to figure out, guys. So if you're in this space, I get it. I understand it. I've supported many people with this. It took me years to figure this out, which is why after my last relationship, I decided not to date for 2 years because I was like, I don't want to date anyone's potential. I don't want to sidestep. I don't want to avoid and do all of these things because I understood what was going on beneath the surface, which comes down to radical honesty. And that can be a really challenging thing to do sometimes. I truly believe that being radically honest with ourselves is the most challenging piece because sometimes we got to call ourselves out on the BS. We got to notice the areas where we are playing small. We got to notice the areas that we don't want to step into so that we can. And yes, there will be uncomfortability. Yes, there will be resistance. Yes, there will be potentially grief and loss and really having to have better boundaries and communication with ourselves and others, but it's worth it every single time. So the next thing that I want to talk about with this is settling. I've talked about this in past episodes around settling. If you're settling in a relationship, a career, or anywhere else in your life, you are broadcasting to the universe, this is what I want, because whatever we hold on to, whatever we put our intention and attention and energy into expands. And it's like having a microphone that we're blasting to the universe saying, this is what I want because I'm choosing it. So if you are settling, if you are choosing potential rather than reality in the here and now, you are broadcasting to the universe, this is what I want. I want more of this 70%. I want more of this 50%. I want more of this potential. And potential also means projects, right? And so this is just a different way of looking at it so that if you are finding yourself in these relationships or being attracted to them, that you can stop yourself and get real with yourself so that you can reorganize where you're putting your energy so that you can show up as the leader that you are here to be in your life and in your world. Okay. So another thing that I noticed with high performers, and this is men and women, is that oftentimes when we are dating someone's potential, it is a really interesting way to play small in our business, in our success. It's like, oh, I would love to go and jump into that project, but I'm so busy doing XYZ or helping this person with XYZ. And don't get me wrong, there's amazing things with supporting your significant other and always being there for them. I think that's incredible. And it's such a blessing to be with someone who wants to do those things for you, right? But it becomes a problem when you are constantly overgiving, and you find yourself not having the energy, the time, and really the space to do what it is that you need to do to fill up your own cup. And this is called codependency. It's called a codependent relationship, right? When we're trying to fix, when we're doing everything for someone else and we're not giving them permission to fix their own problems, to overcome their own challenges. And then we can create this really unhealthy dynamic in relationships sometimes where you feel like you're someone's mom, or you feel like you're someone's dad, or you feel like there's this energy where when you really want to go and do something, you can't because you have this big obligation or this big commitment to someone to fix someone else's problem. And when we talk a little bit about that, if you're constantly someone's savior, if you're constantly going to over and above for someone, they become dependent on you too. And then when you don't show up as that person who's going above and beyond and overcompensating, it can cause conflict in relationships. So moral of the story is don't date someone's potential, get real. If you're in a codependent relationship, I highly recommend the book Codependent No More by Melody Beattie. It was a game changer for me 8 years ago, and I absolutely love it and recommend that to so many people. So grab that book if you're noticing some of these dynamics come up for you. I want to go back a little bit. So why do we manifest these relationships? Why do we date potential? Why do we settle for less than what we truly want in a relationship? Well, a lot of this has to do with our deeper programming of childhood, what we think we're worth, what we think we're worthy of. We either attract what we are or we attract what we believe we're worthy of. So the next question that I have for you is, if you're in a relationship that feels really unhealthy and you feel like you're settling or whatever the case is, the question is this a reflection of you and how you're showing up in the world, and this person's a mirror for that, or is this a reflection of your self-worth? So when I go back to past relationships, I was in a relationship for 8 years, and then I was in a relationship for a year and a half after that. When I look at the areas of life and the conflict that was internal within myself in those dynamics, it always came down to self-worth. So if you are manifesting these relationships and you're like, oh, what I want doesn't exist, or whatever the story is, the question is, what do you think that you're worthy of? What is the deeper programming that's been placed there, probably in childhood, potentially from your parents' dynamics, maybe from something that happened in childhood, whatever it is, and how can you get support to reprogram that? Until we reprogram these belief systems and really clean it up and have that awareness, we are going to continue to manifest the same situations with different people, no matter if you go from one relationship to another. And having a healthy break is so important to get clear on that, because it's like we're like a computer system. We have to be upgraded. We have to be cleaned out. Otherwise, if I were to be using a MacBook from 2000, I don't even know if they existed then, so forgive me, but from 2000, and I'm wanting it to work like something in 2021, well, there's going to be some issues, right? So it's important to upgrade your operational system in order to attract and create and do what it is that you want. So whenever we're attracting relationships that are unhealthy, or we're in these dynamics, or dating someone's potential, or constantly being in the space of projects and transformation, even if you think it's sexy, and if you do, I totally get it. A lot of it has to do with our self-worth. It has to do with what you believe to be true about relationships, what you think you're worthy of, and it's a mirror for how you are showing up. So be aware of that this week, my friend. Take some time, reflect, and ask yourself, is it a self-worth issue? Is it a belief system? Is it how I'm showing up? Is this a mirror for me? And what are these relationships here to teach me? All right, sending you lots of love. If you love this episode, please go ahead and share it on social media, or reach out to a friend who can really gain some insights and wins from understanding how their relationship dynamics may really be a reflection on what's going on in the inner world. All right, lots of love. Mwah.